on, hobby family? It is your boy K-Dub. This is K-Dub's High Five, 5 rapid fire questions with your favorite hobby faces. And today we bring in our commander-in-chief, the president of PSA, Ryan Hogue. How are you doing today, my friend?
Hey Kyle, great to be here. Having a good day.
Yeah, and I appreciate you doing this. I'm excited to hear kind of your journey and also kind of plans for PSA moving forward, how it works. I got 5 questions. They're all hobby related. They're going to come at you one right after another. Ready to take on the high five?
Let's do it.
All right, man. For people who don't know you, at R Hogue on Twitter, and then it's at Mantle Maris
Maze Mantle.
Maze Mantle on Instagram. Kind of give the listeners a little bit of an introduction of kind of who you are in the sports card world or who you feel like you are in the hobby.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I'm a collector. I've been a lifelong collector. Started when I was a kid, probably 1986.
Okay.
Had fits and starts at various times growing up. Kind of got out of it in high school. Got back into it in college,
Hmm.
and then I've been back hardcore collecting since about 2012. But I'm also known as the president of PSA, which is the world's largest card grading company.
Yes.
And it's kind of funny because I actually have been a PSA customer since 2000. I submitted my first cards to PSA, and then spent most of my career at Microsoft doing product and technology related things. And then about 3 years ago, I got recruited away by my buddy Nat Turner, and he convinced me to come join him on this adventure at Collectors, which is the kind of parent company of PSA.
And I mean, what made you make that jump from the industry business Microsoft world to, the sports card business world? Like, what kind of led you to make that decision?
I think anytime you have a chance to combine a personal passion
Mm.
with what you kind of do professionally, it's really rare. And I just had to jump at it because it was my first role when I joined the company. I was chief product officer. So I helped build out the technology team,
Mm.
and hire software developers, product managers, and worked with my CTO counterpart to build that org. And then that was my first year and a half. And then Nat asked me, hey, how
Mm.
would you like to run the whole PSA business? But I need you to move to Southern California if you're going to do it. And so then that was a bigger discussion with my wife and family. But now we're residents down here in Orange County.
I love it, man. I love it. And then I mean, for people who may be tuning in here who aren't 100% familiar with what PSA does or who they are, just give me like a quick synopsis of PSA and what they do.
Yeah, so PSA was started in 1991, and really what it is, if folks aren't familiar with grading cards, what we do is customers will send cards to our facilities. We have an expert team of graders,
Mm.
and we have created a grading standard of 1 to 10, a scale, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst condition, and we will assess it based on characteristics like surface, corners, centering, edges, overall eye appeal, and then we'll encapsulate it, put it in a holder like the ones you see behind me on my background here, and then that it is in a certain condition. And
Yeah.
so where PSA really made its mark was in the mid 90s when eBay took off, because you
Mm.
had a lot of people buying and selling without being able to have the card in hand, and every collector knows condition matters a lot.
For
And
sure.
so you needed a source to kind of trust what you're getting is in the condition you think it is, and it's advertised right there on the label. And so that was really the first boost. And now we've scaled this thing, over 33 years, and I think last month we graded a little north of 1.3 million cards. So
Nice.
it's a pretty big it's a big business, and we actually play a pretty critical role in the hobby overall.
For
We have
sure.
cool things like the set registry, which is a way for set collectors to compete with one another
Mm.
around who's got the most complete, highest graded set. And we have great set of research tools, price guides. We have a really awesome mobile app that we've been investing a lot in. So anyway, that's at its core. But PSA also does more than just sports cards. So we also have an autograph business.
For sure.
We do game used bats and balls. We have original photos. We do
Mm.
tickets, unopened packs. We're getting into photo matching. So lots of stuff happening under the PSA banner.
I mean, I think anyone who collects cards for any extended time can say that PSA is really the standard for, grading and sports cards in general. So, very cool, man. Well, congrats to you on the big step, and I'm excited to see what's next for you? And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But I do want to talk a little bit about you as the collector. Started in 1986. Kind of talk to me a little bit about who you feel like some of your big influences are when it comes to sports cards.
Yeah. Started in '86. I grew up in Dallas. I was in the Dallas area. Um, so one of my big influences is got to be James Beckett. Um, Beckett is based in the Dallas area. I mean, it was a local company. I was getting my magazine. I was a loyal subscriber, and in fact, my parents were out here visiting recently, and they still live in the house I grew up in. And
Hmm.
they brought me my stack of all my original Beckett's. I
Oh,
think
no way.
I've got every issue from probably late 1988 all the way to early 1993. And that was about my hardcore collecting journey. And then
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
in high school then and I stopped. So um, just so fun to look back on those. But that's probably, the main influence as far
Mm.
as like just got me thinking about it and obsessed every month to see if my Will Clark 87 Fleer had an up arrow or a down arrow or
Yes, sir.
yeah. So that's one. And then as I've gotten back into collecting, in the last 15 years, I've admired some of the collections of these really big time collectors that have just exceptional things that I'll never have, but I love to just see these things that they put together, like Marshall Fogel's collection or Ken Kendrick's collection. Ken owns the Arizona Diamondbacks,
Okay.
and he's got one of the most exceptional PSA graded card collections out there. A lot of high grade Hall of Fame rookie cards. So there's lots of people that I get to interact with in my role now that motivate me and inspire me.
So I got to ask you, you get the stack of Beckett's. You had to look up one card in those Beckett's. Did you look up like a specific card when you had the Beckett's? You're like, I just want to go back to what that card was worth then.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was looking up like the '86 Donruss Jose Canseco, like that's classic. I still have my original one from when I was a kid. That was one of the first cards I graded with PSA in like '99, 2000. It's
Wow.
graded a PSA 8. It's got an old PSA label on it.
Mm.
Yeah, no, back then that was like a north of $100 card. Now
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
now it's maybe 10 bucks as a PSA 8, maybe 20 bucks.
Oh, you gotta love it, man. But it's the emotional connection that you have to that card outside of any monetary value, I'm sure.
Yeah, and what I actually started collecting card wise first was Garbage Pail Kids. That was
Oh,
the first
wow.
stuff that I bought.
Yeah.
And then I got into baseball, and then I've been a really hardcore baseball card collector since, '86 Tops were probably some of the first ones I had, but '87 Tops, '87 Donruss, '87 Fleer, that was like a year that I collected a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the Grail Chase for you. The Grail is the card that you've always dreamed of having, or maybe you have it and you're never letting it go. For you, being obviously a junk wax collector like myself, what is the Grail card for you in your collection
So that I have currently in my collection, or that I aspire to have in my
that
collection?
you would love to have in your
That I
collection?
would love to have. So I'm going to give the typical example that you hear, but it's real, and it's on my list. I'm going to try to get one.
Hmm.
I've always wanted a 52 Tops male. I've
Okay.
never owned one. I have a 51 Bowman. I don't
Okay.
have a 52 Tops, and so I have a 52 Tops Willie Mays. I
Hmm.
don't have a 52 Tops Mickey Mantle.
Okay.
Um, I almost bought one about 7 years ago, and it was a really nicely centered PSA 5. And it just got a little too rich for me, and I didn't keep going on it, and I'm kicking myself because I've looked at what those values have done in the 7 years since, and I should have pulled the trigger. But
Hmm.
yeah, that one day I would like to acquire a nicely centered mantle. Doesn't have to be high grade, just something that looks nice.
Now, I'm sure every now and again you see something come across the PSA grading
Oh, I
line.
do. I see all the best stuff, and it's amazing. And I get they're not mine though, unfortunately.
Oh, I know, but how fun is that? It's like you said, sometimes it's more fun to window shop anyway. So
Oh,
good.
totally. And no, every time there's something big that comes through the grading room, I'll kind of run down the hall and pop my head in and see it. Yeah, there's some really cool stuff. Every day there's something cool in there.
Oh, I love it. I love it. All right, well, let's get to the product then for you. You got all the money in the world. You can rip any hobby box in current or past hobby box history. What would you grab for yourself to rip and why?
I would probably well, I got two.
Okay.
I've never opened '86 Fleer basketball. I've opened a pack when I was younger,
Okay.
but I never opened like a full box. And this is back when the prices were a lot cheaper. I think I bought a pack for $50.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
so I would love to rip a box of '86 Fleer. I have an 86 Fleer Jordan. I actually have the whole set. I have the whole set raw, and then I've got about a third of the set in PSA 8 or better, which is cool.
Including the
That's
Jordan?
yeah, I got a PSA 9 Jordan that I bought. So when I got back into collecting, one of the things that I did,
Okay.
like when I collected junk wax, I couldn't afford anything. And so I just had my cheapy junk wax cards, and maybe the most expensive card I had was 20 or 30 bucks.
Huh.
When I started working and I had some money, some
Mm,
disposable income, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go get these cards that I couldn't afford when I was a kid. So
yeah.
I bought my Jordan, I bought a Nolan Ryan rookie, I bought a Hank Aaron rookie. I bought all these cards that I wanted to have. And luckily, when I got back into collecting, the prices were, more reasonable than they are now, because that
Mm,
was,
yeah,
12 years ago.
for sure.
Um,
Well, yeah.
but yeah, so that was on my list. And then the other box that I would love to rip, and I've ripped a few of these in the past, and again, they've gotten a little expensive. 1975 Topps mini baseball box.
Okay.
So, um,
Tell me about this.
so, so 1975 Topps, iconic design, multicolored. It's got the George Brett, Robin Yount rookies are in there. It's my favorite top set design
Mm,
of all time. I had a Robin Yount rookie card when I was a kid, and so
okay.
I always was like, oh man, this set's really cool. So they made two versions of it. And by the way, Topps Heritage this year is inspired by the 75 Topps design. So if you go get a 24 Topps Heritage box, which I opened 3 boxes last night with a friend of mine, they're all the design of 75. So if you want to experience it, just go rip some Heritage.
Okay. Okay.
Um, but so what they did, normally the cards come 2.5 by 3.5. That's the standard size.
Yeah.
And what Topps did in this year, though, they created a mini version. It was about 20% smaller in
Oh,
dimensions, and they distributed it on the West Coast and in Michigan.
oh,
And so what the reason I was attracted to this set is I started building it. I actually built on the PSA set registry. I had one of the top 20 graded sets of the 75 Topps minis, and I retired it probably in, I don't know, 2017, 2018, well before I started working at PSA. But what was cool is you could actually find unopened product, and it was reasonably priced, because there was a collector in Michigan who had passed away, but he had hoarded cases and cases of 75 Topps minis. So his estate put him up for auction in like 2007, 2008. And
yeah.
so there were hundreds of boxes that made it out to the market. And so you could actually pick up a box for a relatively reasonable rate. Like boxes used to be 700, 800, 900 bucks. Ripping a 40, 50-year-old, you know,
Oh, yeah.
product like that. Now the boxes are closer to $10,000, so it's
Yeah.
not the
Yeah.
same value proposition. But it's really fun. And when I was building my set, I ended up grading probably at least a third of my set were self-submitted cards by me that I pulled from boxes, which was fun.
Huh. Huh. Well, cool, man. Well, I need to do a little either get into some heritage this year or do a little research, man, because I did not realize
Yeah, I
they did
love the
that
set.
there.
The set's awesome.
That's cool. That's very cool. All right, man. I got one final question for you. We got to talk a little bit about PSA. Obviously, like PSA has changed. I mean, grown, blown up, especially in the last 5 years. Pandemic collecting, post-pandemic collecting. You're now kind of taking over that company. Kind of, what do you see as far as future goals, future plans for PSA moving into 2024 and the hobby beyond that?
Yeah, well, we got a couple things that we're rolling out to customers and collectors this summer that I'm excited about, that I think like are steps in the direction of where we're going to be heading as a company. So we have this new feature coming out that we're calling grader notes. We get a lot of questions about, hey, why did this card get the grade that it got?
Yeah.
We are going to now make it available so that when the grader is assessing your card and it's not a 10, they'll be able to say, the primary reason why it got the
Mhm.
grade that it got. Oftentimes there's surface issues that are hard for somebody to see when they're submitting.
For sure.
And so we're going to start this at our higher service tiers that are a little more expensive because it's new and it takes more time.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I'd like to make that available, at the more affordable service levels. So I think increasing the transparency into how we work
Mm.
is a theme that we're going to stay focused on.
Yeah.
And we're getting faster too. I think we're trying to be accurate, reliable, but also quick with people's orders, because we know oftentimes people want to submit to PSA to then sell those cards.
Mm.
get some money back in their pocket. They can go, put it back into buying more product, more graded cards, wax, whatever it is. And just kind of, that's how the hobby works is you recycle the money and it just kind of flows.
Mhm.
So we play a key part there in helping people with liquidity, and the faster we can get their cards back, the faster they can sell them and kind of keep that flywheel going. So that's something that we're going to be laser focused on. And then we recently announced a new partnership with eBay that I think is actually going to be a game changing for people. We have the PSA Vault, which we've
Yeah.
had running for a couple of years now. This is a way for collectors, if they want to save on sales tax. Our vault's in Delaware, so they have, you buy something on eBay, you buy something from an auction house, you can get it shipped there and not have to pay sales tax because it's a sales tax free state.
Hmm.
But you also have the ability to submit graded cards directly. You can have your PSA graded cards after they're done go right to the vault. And starting this summer, we're going to have the ability to sell on eBay. So all of those cards that are in your vault, you can sell at auction on eBay and have
Wow.
very competitive rates that you pay. That are often they're better rates than what you would get, say, selling on your own directly on eBay. And so I think this is going to be a game changer for collectors. It's going to remove a lot of friction because you could theoretically just mail your raw cards one time to PSA, get them graded, go to your vault, sell them when you want to, and just kind of keep that thing going. So I think that this is going to be well received by folks out there, and I'm excited to see how it's used.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a partnership there is huge, and that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Especially for those, like you said. I mean, the transit process is always what the lag time, right? So
Oh, it takes time and it takes money and there's
yeah,
risk too.
yeah, exactly. So killing that lag time is great, and I
Yeah.
think that the collector's notes, I think that's going to be huge, especially for a lot of the just average collectors who are just wanting to submit their cards, but to find out the why, I think, like you said, the transparency there is going to be huge between your company and average collectors.
Yeah,
So
I think it'll be great. It'll help educate people more, and they'll
mhm.
be better
Yeah,
submitters in the future. Because
yeah,
they'll learn.
absolutely. I mean, I'm a better handler of whatever the doctor prescribes when I can look at the notes and see exactly what they're seeing.
Yeah,
So I think it's the same thing. If you can know what the grader's seeing, because a lot of times I think people want to blast and complain because they really don't know what they're looking for, right? They think
exactly.
they think every card they have is a 10, which
Yeah.
why would you not, right? Everyone
Now,
wants
my pro tip, I tell people this all the time. Before you submit your cards and you're looking at them to try to say, hey, does this one look like it's going to grade well? Have all the lights off and have a lamp, and just have look at the cards in a dark room, dark environment under like a halogen lamp, because you'll see things that you normally would maybe miss. That's the environment our graders operate in. It's a
to.
dark room, and they're there. They got their computer screen, but they're holding that thing right under a lamp.
Okay. All right. High five, listeners. Pro tip right there. We're going to end with that pro tip. If you're going to think about grading a card, get in a dark room, turn that lamp on. Any specific light we need to be using? I'm asking
No,
for no, any type of light.
nah.
Get it under a lamp so you can truly see what the graders are seeing. So I love that, man. That's great advice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
surface is generally where people miss things.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and that makes sense because a lot of times we're looking at cards that are in sleeves and top loaders, and
Yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
take that card out and examine it. So very true. All right, man. Hey, we cleared the list. Let's throw it up. High five at the end of high five.
Yeah.
Throw it up.
Woo.
Boom. Hey, you can follow Ryan Hogue on Twitter at rhogue, or on Instagram at Maze Mantle, right?
Yep, that's it.
Also, check out PSA on all social medias at PSA Card, at PSAcard.com, I believe.
Yep, yep. PSAcard.com is the website. Go check out
Awesome.
the PSA mobile app on
Yeah.
Android and iPhone.
Absolutely, absolutely. So follow on all platforms there. Also, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, Dizzy Dub One, and follow me on Twitter or X at Mr. K Dub. Shout out to our high five endorsers, Midwest Box Breaks, and LJ's Card Shop. Ryan, man, this was so great. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. It was a lot of fun chatting with you.
Yeah, glad to hop on with you. Enjoyed it.
All right, y'all take care. We'll catch you next time on the next high five.